translation. And the verse number 25. So is that right? 24 is completed yesterday?
Right, 26 today.
26. Okay, Prabhuji. Okay. मुक्तसङ्गो अनाहं वादी धृति उत्साह समान्वितः सिद्धि आसिद्ध्योर् निर्विकार कर्ता सात्विक उच्यते. Yeah. Anyone else would like to recite devotees?
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Mataji.
No, go ahead. Yes, Thakur.
Okay. Mukta Sango Naham Vadi Triti Utsaha Samanvitaha Siddhi Asiddhyo Nirvikaraha Karta Satvika Uchyate. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Anyone else?
I can read Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, ma'am.
Mukta Sango Naham Vadi Drishti Utsahas Samanvitha Siddhi Asiddhiyor Nirvikara Karta Satvika Uchyate. Back to Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else, devotees?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, ma'am.
Mukto Sango Nihambadi Drashti, right? Drashti?
Dhruti.
Dhruti Utsaha
Samavitaha Siddhi Asiddhiyor Nira Vikaraha Karta Satvika Uchyate. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Anyone else, devotees?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I can also try.
Yes.
Mukta Sango Naham Badri Triti Utsaha Samanvitaha Siddha Siddhyo Akaha Karta Satvika Uchyate. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Anyone else, devotees?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I can also try.
Yeah.
Mukta Sango Naham Badi Dhritya Utsaha Samanvita Siddhyo Asiddhyor Nirvikara Karta Satvika Uchyate.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, devotees. We'll go ahead with synonyms and translation. Anyone would like to read synonyms and translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna to everyone. Synonyms: Mukta Sangha, liberated from all material association. Anaham Vadi, without false ego. Dhriti, with determination. Utsaha, and great enthusiasm. Samanvitaha, qualified. Siddhi, in perfection. Asiddhyo, and failure. Nirvikaraha, without change. Karta, worker. Satvika, in the mode of goodness. Uchyate, is said to be. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature, without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, and without wavering in success or failure, is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. A small purport. Anyone else would like to read the purport, devotees?
Hare Krishna, I can read it.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu.
A person in Krishna consciousness is always transcendental to material modes of nature. He has no exceptions or
Expectations, yeah.
expectations, for the results of the work entrusted to him, because he is above false ego and pride. Still, he is always enthusiastic till the completion of such work. He does not worry about the distress undertaken. He is always enthusiastic. He does not care for success or failure. He is equal in both distress and happiness. Such a worker is suited in mode of goodness. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. We'll also just read the next verse and we'll discuss both together. Ragi karma phala prepsur lubdho himsatmako asuchihi harsha harsha shoka anvita karta rajashaha parikirtitaha parikirtitaha. Okay, yeah. Anyone else would like to recite devotees?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I can. Hare Krishna.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ragi karma phala prepsur lubdha himsatmako suchi harsa sokanvita karta rajasaha parikirtita.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else, devotees?
I can try. Ragi karma phala prepsur lupto himsatmako suchi harsha sokan vitaha karta rajasaha parikrititaha. Thank you, Bhagavad Hare Krishna. Back to you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anyone else, devotees, would like to recite?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I'll also try.
Yeah.
Ragi karma phala prepsur Upta himsotmika suchi harsha sokanvita karta rajasa parikirtita. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Anyone else, devotees?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I will try Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Ragi karma phala prepshar labdho himsatmako suchihi harsha sokanvita karta rajasa parikirtitaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else would like to try last? Okay. Yeah, we can move on to synonyms and translation. Devotees. Yeah. Anyone would like to read synonyms and translation?
I can read Prabhuji if anyone is not available.
Yes, Mataji.
Ragi, very much. Okay. Synonyms and translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Ragi, very much attached. Karmaphala, the fruit of the work. Prepsu, desiring. Lubdha, greedy. Himsa, atmakaha, always envious. Asuchi, unclean. Harsasoka, anvitaha, subject to joy and sorrow. Karta, such a worker. Rajasaha, in the mode of passion. Parikirtitaha, is declared. Translation: the worker who is attached to work and the fruits of work. desiring to enjoy those fruits, and who is greedy, always envious, impure, and moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion.
Thank you, Mataji. So one paragraph per port. Anyone else would like to read, devotees?
Hare Krishna. Can I read?
Yes, ma'am.
A person is too much attached to the certain kind of work or to the result because he has too much attachment for the materialis- materialism or hearth, hearth and home, wife and children. Such a person has no desire for higher evolutions in life. He is simply con- con- contented with making this world as material comfortable as possible. He is generally very greedy and he thinks that anything attained by him is permanent and never to be lost. Such a person is envious of the other and prepared to do anything wrong for sense gratifications. Therefore, such a person is unclean and he does not care what whatever his earning is pure or impure. He is very happy if his work is successful and very much distressed when his work is not successful. Such is the worker in the mode of passions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Asha Mataji. Anything you would like to share on the purport, Mataji?
I think so. They're talking about feel like it's like non-devotee and devotee person. Devotee person is the very satisfaction, and the non-devotee persons they always worry about the kids, wife, home, income, and even sometimes we can say like the white income and black income. So even sometimes the material people who is earning money they not worry about where they working or what kind of earning they coming from them, like kind of black money they can use for themselves, and they are actually happy with the black income, the material people they using for sales. But our devotee we are not, if anything something goes wrong, we always say like no, this is wrong, this is the not way we have to actually earning money like that. So that I think so that's why they are two types of people they try to they're talking about the who's the non-devotee person is the patient of mood of the patient, that's why they're working the black distress like kind of andhakar, and then who's a devotee is like the okay. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji, for sharing those thoughts. Um, so we'll discuss these two verses, devotees. So in this chapter, so Krishna is systematically teaching about different aspects of action. And also in the previous verses, Krishna discussed about what is the 5 factors of action. I know how is the action is performed. And then eventually Krishna also discussed about um, how one performs the action in various modes of nature. So one can perform the action without attachment or with attachment, with knowing what he is doing, without knowing what is doing, with seeing some consequences in the future, without seeing the consequences. So Krishna is systematically teaching how each and every action that we perform is also categorized in the different modes of nature. So, so already Krishna kind of explained how um, knowledge is also in different modes of nature. Three, the knowledge that is in the mode of goodness, knowledge in the mode of passion, and knowledge in the mode of goodness, um, mode of ignorance. So now action, now in the last three verses, Krishna is saying, when one performs an action, what will be the consequences, or what are the varieties of action under three modes of nature: sattvic, rajas, and tamas. So here in the last two verses we discussed, Krishna is basically explaining about rajasic and sattvic. So he started with the rajasic and then tamasic and sattvic. So mode of ignorance and mode of goodness, how the action is being performed. So generally it is said that mode of goodness and ignorance is exactly opposite, 180-degree opposite. And in between those two is the passion. So here when in this material world, everyone is working hard. Prabhupada says even the president is also working hard. So it's, don't think that anyone is enjoying. Basically, everyone is working hard, and they're trying to work according to the modes they are in. For example, if there is a river is flowing in a floody situation, whatever you put in that river is going to get carried away. If there is a small stream, whatever you put in the stream, it'll be very slowly moving, very gently moving, right? And then if it's a very chaotic place where there is a dirty water going on, whatever you put in that, it's going to become dirty. So similarly, if our if we are in mode of goodness, we work according to that mode of goodness. If we are in the passion, if we will be working according to that mode of passion. So here, what what is Krishna explaining is to make us understand how we have to perform action. What is the right way of doing action, and in order to understand what's the right way of doing action, we also need to understand what is the wrong way of doing action. So the wrong way of doing action is expecting some enjoyment, or success or failure. This is the calculation. In the mode of passion, we are always calculating whether I will be successful in this endeavor or will I get failure, whether I will be able to make more money, whether I'll be able to defeat my enemies. There'll be always enviousness, there's always competition. There is a lot of in the mode of passion, it's very unique in the way there is so much desire. There's so much desire, but they're not much happiness. Only in the future they think they will have some happiness. Right now, there is only hard work is involved. So they all hope, it's like a hope against hope. In the future, I'll have some happiness, and they'll be keep on working very hard day and night to gratify their desires. And that is basically a lot of hard work is involved. So that is why one time Prabhupada disciple was asking, Prabhupada, these people have so much money and they are enjoying. And Prabhupada said, do you think they are actually enjoying? They're only caretakers of their money. They are not really enjoying. They're taking care of their wealth very hard day and night. And for that, they have to work very hard. So on the other hand, if a Brahmana gets a lot of charity, say if he gets like 10 cows, he'll give away like 8 or 9 cows, and he'll just keep one cow and a calf. Because a Brahmana knows that maintaining wealth is not his purpose. He has to basically Brahma Janyati iti Brahmanaha. So he has to learn about Brahman, he has to understand his relationship with the Lord, and he is also spreading the knowledge of the Shastra to others. So a Brahman knows that he is not supposed to work hard. That is why there are different varieties. Prabhupada used to explain there are different varieties of people. So basically, the four varieties circles he puts in: one who is lazy intelligent, busy intelligent, lazy fool, and busy fool. So like four categories Prabhupada's put. And the last category is basically a busy fool. And the little bit higher is a lazy fool, and little bit higher is busy intelligent, and the topmost category is lazy intelligent. So Brahmana is very intelligent, but he is also considered lazy because he doesn't do hard work. Is very relaxed, and he does only what is considered is necessary for to make a living and progress in Krishna consciousness. So that way, even though a Brahmana can actually use his intelligence to even several companies he can manage. For example, if you go to India, there are TVS Iyengar, like the TVS is owned by a Brahmana. Brahmanas are very intelligent. They have very sharp brain, intelligence quotient that they can do a lot of things, but they don't really come to this proving something and running a company or making money. That's not their motivation. So their whole motivation is, even though they're able to do things, they will only do things which are meant to be very important, especially that which is required for a long term benefit, not short term benefit. Like long term benefit is like in this life and also the next life, to promote themselves into higher planetary system, or to promote themselves into the highest spiritual kingdom also. So that is how the Brahmana is designed to think. So that is why in the mode of goodness, here you can see that Krishna says in the mode of goodness, a person, a Brahmana, is ideal example of mode of goodness. He is working with all the enthusiasm. At the same time, he doesn't care about success or failure. For him, because for him, it's not about competition, or it's not about achieving something for immediate benefit. It's a long-term benefit. So anything you do long-term benefit, devotees, it is little bit relaxing. Right? For example, people also do in the market. They also, some people do trading. Short term and long term, both are not good. But if you look at people who do short term, they are more anxiety than who do long term, right? So generally, if you have a good plan for the long term, you're considered very intelligent. Similarly, Brahmanas are like that. They are not immediately concerned about right now success or failure. They want to have a stable, peaceful life without much endeavor, and also they want to have a long term benefit, which is mukta sangha, mean becomes liberated from all material association. And that is like the highest benefit one can have, because no matter how hard you're going to work, you have to leave this body. So the Brahmana knows that I have to become liberated from this attachment. That is, long term benefit that Brahmana is looking at. From that perspective, he is actually the very successful person. So the mode of passion, even though people consider they're getting success and they're getting failure, but they're actually wasting their precious time. So the Siddhi, perfection, the real perfection lies in going beyond the material association. So that is called Mukta Sangha. So Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. So this Sri Krishna Sankirtanam is basically, it can give us that liberation from material association. So in the Karma Yoga chapter also, Krishna says, uh, anything we do, we have to offer it as a offering to Krishna. Mukta Sangha Param Vrijet. So he says that Karmana Anyatro Lokayam Karma Bandhanaha Tadattam Karma Kaunteya Mukta Sangha Para Samachara. So anything in this material world is basically a cause of bondage. You do something, you do some business, you get some returns, either success or failure. Like it's bound to happen. So that is why everything you do should be an offering to Lord Vishnu. That way you always become Mukta Sangha Samachara. You always become free from that bondage. So that is why the Brahmanas, the Vaishnavas, in the mode of goodness, one can actually become free from that bondage. In the mode of passion, one gets implicated in that bondage. In the mode of ignorance, one really does not really have any hope. By even there is no hope of any success, because whatever activity is done in mode of ignorance is simply done in illusion. And it's kind of Maya. Krishna is using that word. So here, so Krishna is saying that it's performed in illusion, and also they don't really consider what is right, what is wrong. It's completely mohat arabhyate karma. So it is just completely causing violence to other living entities and also distress to other living entities. So that is why there is no hope in terms of, in right now while doing the action also they suffer, and also in the future also they suffer. So that is why there is no hope. Um, so here, if you look at the mode of ignorance, mode of passion, so Krishna uses specific words about joy and sorrow. Harsha soka. Harsha shoka means like, on one side joy and on the other side sorrow. So there was one story in Srimad Bhagavatam. In that story, one king, he actually does he has he desires to have a son, but then he has so many queens, but still he does not have a son. And then he goes to a sage, and then the sage gives him a blessing, and then he says that your son will be your source of happiness, and also he'll be the source of suffering, misery. So, and then the king is not really that much bothered about what the sage said. He said there will be a son born, so he was very happy. And then he came. The sage gave him a fruit, which he gave to the principal queen. So the principal queen had a son. He was named by a sage as Harsha Shoka. So will be the source of happiness and sorrow. And eventually, the other queens become envious of the main principal queen, because he is getting all the attention from the king because she had a baby. And eventually, all the other queens, they made a plan to kill that baby by giving poison. So one fine day, they made a plan. They gave a poison to that baby, and then suddenly that boy died. So the king was very, very happy playing with that boy and telling, the whole kingdom he was giving so many charities, and he's just trying to make that boy as the future king. He was making so many plans. Suddenly the boy died, and her mother came to know about this, and she almost felt like she lost her life. And then again, the king got to know, and the king was completely dejected, and he didn't want to take up any affairs of the kingdom. He was completely lost. He was so much in sorrow that he was in a mood of leaving everything and then renouncing everything, kind of situation. So at that point, on the dead body of the boy was there. So Narada Muni and Angira Muni, they walk in disguise. As sages, they walk in disguise, and they talk to this king. So about the life and death, who is this boy? So he was not convinced. And then in front of that king, the sages gave the boy life, for temporarily. They called the soul back into the body, and then the soul started to speak and saying, the boy said, "Who is my father? Which life are you my father? Which life are you my mother?" So like that, the boy spoke a lot of philosophical truths. Very hard to the real truth. Which we can't really in front of. The truth is always hard. They say the truth is always bitter, right? So after the boy spoke, the king become really self-realized, and he understood the purpose of life. And then Narada Muni gave him several mantras for perfection. So that king becomes Chitraketu, he got the mercy of the Lord Vishnu, and then he got the darshan, and then eventually that Chitraketu, he got delivered. Basically, he attained the spiritual kingdom. So the point is, initially he did not understand the the cycle of joy and sorrow. He was basically, the sage was said, your boy will be the cause of happiness as well as the cause of suffering. But then when actually it happened, then the king sort of understood, and then he came on the transcendental platform. So similarly, many of us in the same boat, like we don't really understand why we cannot work in the mode of passion, because it's the mode of passion kinds of binds us. It kinds of bondage, gives a bondage, and it always, even though we don't want to become greedy, eventually you will become greedy if you work in the mode of passion. Eventually you will be envious of our neighbors. Eventually will become unpure, and anyway the joy and sorrow will come and go on. So that is the whole, the mode of passion is designed to induce that greed, and so that is why here Krishna is recommending how to work. So Krishna is recommending how to work. So in the next verse Krishna is saying how we have to work in the mode of goodness. So there are other points that in the purport Prabhupada is making. Um, so in the generally, like in the business, or in any endeavor, there is always going to be failure. But if we do it for the sake of a higher purpose, then we don't consider directly we are the root cause of that failure or success. That higher purpose can be to please someone, and that is where the bhakti comes into picture. So in the bhakti platform, they say that you have to do everything to please Lord Krishna. So samsiddhir haritoshanam, like we have to do by pleasing Guru or pleasing Lord Krishna. When we do it with that purpose, then we go beyond the purpose of my particular success and failure. So that is where, so Krishna consciousness is, one can, Prabhupada is a good example. So Prabhupada was very enthusiastically doing a lot of action. He did not consider success or failure. For example, he was chanting in the New York Central Park. Every day he used to sit under the tree. He used to chant. He was not really considering how many people were coming, how much preaching was done, books were distributed. Pretty much he was satisfied. Even one person comes, also he is satisfied. Many people come, also he was satisfied. So the whole Bhagavad Gita introduction, when Prabhupada was giving that lecture, the whole room was actually empty. But still Prabhupada gave that lecture, he recorded the whole lecture, and then eventually it became the Bhagavad Gita introduction. So we can understand, so from a transcendental perspective, there is nothing called success and failure. We just do our duty to please Krishna, and when Krishna is pleased, we'll automatically become pleased. There are many examples like that in Prabhupada's and also Prabhupada's disciples. They're still doing everything very enthusiastically without expecting anything in return. So um, that is actually transcendental. Here, Krishna only saying the mode of goodness. So the transcendental even goes one step higher. So he's basically in the The difference between mode of goodness and transcendental is, the transcendental goes, mode of goodness is neutral, and the transcendental is pleasing Lord Krishna. That desire to please Guru and please Lord Krishna, that element is added in the transcendental side. So that is the difference. In the mode of goodness itself, if one can be liberated, Krishna says, Mukta Sango, what to speak of the transcendental action. So those activities are really pure, and there is no contamination at all. That is why even like for Arjuna is a Kshatriya. Kshatriya is basically killing in the middle of a war. Even such a person who's killing someone, for him also that transcendental activity does not touch. There is no sin, or there is no success or failure. It's basically purely transcendental. So it goes to the highest example of Kshatriya doing his duty. But we can understand Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, second chapter, first canto, there is a verse: Tato rajas tamo bhava kamaloba dayasye chetayeter anavidyam stitam sattve prasidati. So one who hears Srimad Bhagavatam, always one who hears and then one who serves the Bhagavat devotee, Bhagavatam is promising Tata rajas tamas kama lobha dayasya. So it will take away the rajogun, it will take away the tamogun, and it will take away the kama and lobha. So what will actually be established in the heart? Stitam sattve prasidati. So in the heart, the mode of goodness will be established. So after the mode of goodness is established, what is the result? We actually become all of the karmic reactions we have, everything will be destroyed. So gradually everything will be destroyed, and we get elevated to the topmost platform of bhakti. So that is the benediction that Srimad Bhagavatam is giving. So in order to achieve that benediction, we have to continuously hear about topics of Lord Krishna, associate with Lord Krishna's holy name. We have to associate with devotees. We have to read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, which we are doing now. So that is how we can promote ourselves from, no matter whether you are in Rajogun or Tamogun, eventually we'll be able to establish the Satogun by following these practices. So, so here Krishna is concluding saying he does not worry about the distress undertaken. He is always enthusiastic. He does not care for success or failure. So, Prabhupada, we all know that there are many times success was not happening. So, but still, Prabhupada is very enthusiastic. He was traveling all over the world preaching. One time, Prabhupada disciples rented a big hall, a very big hall, and they arranged for a lecture. They gave a lot of pamphlets. Finally, very, very few people only turned up. So obviously, the disciples, they were not very happy, and their faces were very sad. And Prabhupada, when he was coming out, he could see his disciples was not in a happy mood. So Prabhupada asked them why, what happened. And they were saying, sorry, Prabhupada, we planned everything nicely, but not a lot of people could come. And Prabhupada said, he said one thing. Who said nobody was there? Did you see Narada Muni was there? And he was saying, and then all of the disciples were surprised. So the transcendental vision and our vision is totally different. So from a transcendental vision, they don't want to waste money. At the same time, they are not worried about anything material getting lost. So in one occasion in South Africa, Prabhupada, one time when he went there, the cook was not actually the cook who was cooking the boga. He was not a Vaishnava devotee. They got someone and they made them to cook, and then they were offering that. It was not also very much good. So Prabhupada was criticizing, telling the devotees, this is not good. We are spending money, we are using for Krishna consciousness. We can buy a lot of boga and we cook nicely, we can offer to Krishna and distribute, but we should not waste. So like you can see the contrast from here to there. The Prabhupada doesn't like to waste money. At the same time, when things happen bad on its own, he is not really worried. So we have to have both kind of balance when we are doing things for Krishna. So expert acharyas, they can do it, and we have to understand, we have to follow their instructions and understand eventually how to do it. So I think these are some points, devotees, I would like to share. Let's see if we can discuss these two verses. Yeah. Anyone would like to share anything on these two verses, devotees?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, you very nicely explain about this the actions when it's done by here. You discuss about two modes of material nature, mode of goodness and mode of passion. So, mode of goodness, Prabhuji said about the Brahmanas, when they do the work just to live their life, that way they just depend on the alms. But it's on Prabhuji for the Vedic era, it happens. Not now, like the Brahmanas now, are they are not just depend on their alms what they get, but they have to leave for that, they have to do job under someone. And so brahmanas, the quality of brahmanas is they are not under anyone, but under only the supreme lord, is the servant of the supreme lord. But now in this age of Kali, like the brahmanas, we are all like working under someone. So if that means, like Prabhuji, we are not in that mode of goodness, correct? Like at least brahmanas who was born as a brahmana, but for Vaishnavas actually are greater than brahmanas, because they follow the rules and regulations as a Vaishnava, and their behavior, they actually apply the Bhagavad Gita teachings in their life. The Vaishnavas, pure devotees. So, and in that case, they are in the pure goodness, right, Prabhuji? So, Prabhuji, I'd like to know the difference between Brahmanas and their action on mode of goodness, and also in the mode of pure goodness. If you just give
Yes,
some.
Mataji. So if you look at Brahmanas, they are not necessarily always Vishnu devotees. There are Brahmanas who do worship demigods. So especially if you go to India, you can see a lot of demigod temples. The Brahmanas are assigned pujaris and they do nicely worship. They're all in the mode of goodness. But Vaishnavas or Vishnu devotees, one who is surrendered to Vishnu, not necessarily, one anyone. Brahmana is very exalted. Vishnu himself is protecting them. So Krishna himself says, "Go Brahmanayitaya cha Jagaditaya Krishna Govindaya Namo." So the Brahmanas are very dear to Lord Vishnu, and they are considered the mouth by which Lord Vishnu eats. So if you feed a Brahmana, it's one of the five kinds of sacrifices one human being is supposed to do. To feed the Brahmanas, to offer sacrifices to demigods, to worship forefathers, to give foodstuffs to other living entities, and also to treat other living entities nice. These are five kinds of sacrifices one has to do in the human life. So Brahmanas are very much elevated. When Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj was actually called, he was called in one judgment. Basically, they wanted to give him a topic about who is the highest, Brahmana or Vaishnava. So he glorified the Brahmanas in the beginning for almost several hours, and then he started to talk about Vaishnavas, and then he concluded how Vaishnavas are actually very glorious. So like that, so the Brahmanas, iti Brahmajanati iti Brahmana, they know the Brahman, but still Brahmanas are they are devoted to one particular demigod sometimes. So Vaishnavas are all fully devoted to Lord Vishnu. They surrender their whole life. They don't know anyone except Lord Vishnu. They also take diksha, and then they go forward in the path of. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's called Pavarga and then Apavarga. Like so, Pavarga and Apavarga is exactly opposite. So the Vaishnavas try to follow the Apavarga path. So the Pavarga path is basically, trying to get some success in the material world, and then, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. But Apavarga path is exactly opposite. No hard work, no lamentation, no anxiety, no stress, no disappointment, there is no frustration, there is no fear, and eventually at the end we overcome the death by entering into spiritual planet. So that is the Apavarga the Srimad Bhagavatam is recommending. So in the Kali Yuga, like you mentioned, Mataji, not the Brahmanas, there are four kinds of occupation, five kinds of occupation: Patana, Patana, Jajana, Jajanas, Dana, Pratigraha, six kinds of occupation. So accepting charity is just one of them. They can run schools. There are a lot of Brahmanas. I heard, some even. Um, so I heard several, I mean, exalted devotees. They are very much intelligent. They can do a lot of jobs. Even they have some double masters, things like that. But they still just teach something and accept charity. It's not easy. I'm not recommending anyone to do, but it is sort of that is how Brahmanas are. Brahmanas are they're very intelligent. They can do a lot of things and earn money, but still they will decide to keep their income very less in a very sattvic kind of a platform, where they'll just teach some students, accept charity. They'll have some cows, like that. So it is not easy. So that's why we cannot handle in Kali Yuga. It's very difficult. But we respect, whatever may be the situation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said, "Sthane sthita," like stay in your place and practice bhakti. That's what we are trying to do. But at least we are trying to understand these different topics just by discussing, so we know what is what, at least. So those are some top thoughts that comes to me, Mataji. Is that
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, yeah.
thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna devotees. Any other discussions? Anyone else would like to share anything?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhamatna. Very nicely explained, Prabhuji and Mataji, and wonderfully explained about that Harsha Shoka, Prabhuji. I was also remembering how Chitraket Maharaj, even though he had like 10 million wives, and when Angira Muni, he was morose, and when Angira Muni gave that like Harsha Shoka, right? I mean, we can see that even though he was an, I mean, like king, but of course he became an asura, and but even though he was an asura, he was able to get mercy of the Lord because he was a pure devotee. Like even the Bali Maharaj was an asura. So sometimes we can see that it doesn't matter where you are, but if you are in Krishna consciousness, then you'll always reach a higher position. That's my understanding.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. So the great exalted personalities, when they curse, in this case, Mother Parvati's curse is always ends up with a auspicious. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Anyone else would like to share anything, devotees?
I was just curious because I was at a program on Friday and one devotee asked me about like the difference like with like living in temple and living outside of temple, like about like the rate of advancement or like the dedication. And I was listening to Hansarupa speak at the Brooklyn Temple in a lecture, and he was saying that like when you're in the temple, you're in the fire and you're with the devotees all the time. And then you step out of the fire, then you have to get back in the fire again. So I was remembering that. But then she was saying she thinks it's like tougher and more dedicated to be outside the temple and practicing. So I just wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's a great question, Mataji. Um, so Prabhupada himself answered one time this question to his disciple. So this, I think in the early days of ISKCON, there was one poet. Allen Ginsberg. So he asked, Prabhupada is going to Vrindavan, and Allen Ginsberg was there. He shared the news. And then Ginsberg said, "Oh, that's very nice." And then Prabhupada said, "Why don't you come and stay with us?" And then Ginsberg said, "No, I'm not really that sincere. Don't worry, you come and stay with us. You'll be fine. You'll be sincere." Within a few months, the way he explained was the amount of progress that you're going to make outside. In 3 months, you can make that progress when you stay with us. That's what Prabhupada's point was. And that is many times he explained the same in different ways. And so Prabhupada knew actually the advancement that we make in temple is much higher than when we stay outside because of association and also exalted devotees. That time Prabhupada also personally was there. He was visiting and devotees together staying and the deity's mercy, the schedule, everything helps. The atmosphere helps. When we feel low, we get surcharged by other devotees. Like that, there are so many benefits. But regardless, at home also, if as a family one can practice, that same atmosphere can be created. But in the temple, definitely there is much more advantage. I mean, I personally had stayed in temple. The days I stayed in temple, associating with devotees, going to Mangalarti, it's much more powerful than outside. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else, devotees, would like to share anything? I think it's 8:59. We'll conclude today's session if there are no other discussions. Thank you very much, devotees, for attending today's session. Vancha kalpatrubhyasya kripa sindhu patitanam
पावनेभ्यो
namo namaha. Adanta
वैष्णवेभ्यो
Koti
नमो
Vaishnava
नमः
Vrinda ki jai.
जय
Prabhupada ki
की
jai.
जय
Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
जय
Hare
श्री
Krishna.
कृष्णा प्रभु जी की जय हरे
Yeah.
कृष्णा
Thank
इस्कॉन
you.
डिवोटीज की जय हरे कृष्णा दंडवत प्रणाम
Um,
Krishna.